Ladies and gentlemen, when's the last time you picked up Lumina? There's a chance your answer might be, well, 2 hours ago, Ironworker. I love that gun. But this is a hand cannon that I see other players using very infrequently in PvE activities. And in the Crucible, it's not seeing a whole lot of play either, according to Destiny Tracker, where it's sitting at number 130 as far as quick play usage goes. Now, this is certainly not the end-all be-all factor of whether a weapon is good or not. The follow the leader effect always seems to be present in first-person shooters as a whole, Destiny included. But one thing I can say is that the Destiny community does a pretty good job of flocking to a weapon that is performing well. So what's going on with Lumina? While it was never wildly popular, it's always been a very solid hand cannon with one-of-a-kind utility. Have other weapons just outpaced it to the point of obscurity? Has the current Sandbox as a whole diminished its value? Or is it still a strong option that isn't getting enough attention? As always, I think the best way to gather these answers is by giving Lumina a full and objective weapon review. If you don't have Lumina though, and you would like one of your very own, it can be purchased from the Legacy Weapons kiosk at the tower, located near the vaults. And if you do end up enjoying this weapon review, the like button is there for you to show your support. And if you'd like to see more Destiny 2 videos made by yours truly, feel free to hit that subscribe button. I do my best to push out up-to-date weapon reviews for guns that are both new and old. And the bell icon is there to turn on notifications if you don't want to miss an upload. But let's get things rolling here with a look at Lumina's stats and perks. Alright, Lumina is an exotic kinetic hand cannon shooting at 140 rounds per minute with 12 rounds in the magazine. For the stats, we're going to be pulling in some solid numbers from Destiny Tracker. Lumina could use a touch more range, but the stability stat isn't looking too bad, and it's seeing pretty strong marks in both the handling and the reload speed. That aim assist stat of 88 is very respectable, and the recoil of 95 makes the pull from this weapon as it fires almost perfectly vertical. The intrinsic trait on Lumina is noble rounds. Kills with this weapon will leave behind remnants. Absorbing a remnant converts your next hipfire shot into an ally-seeking noble round, and partially refills your magazine. This pairs directly with the exotic perk Blessing of the Sky, where using a noble round on an ally heals them and grants you and your ally a weapon damage bonus for a short duration. There's also a catalyst available for Lumina that should still be dropping at the end of strikes, and once you obtain it, it will require 250 noble rounds used on allies to unlock it. Once unlocked, kills with Lumina will drop 2 remnants instead of 1. And with that, let's move into PvE and take a look at Lumina's damage, functionality, and performance. Alright, we'll get squared away on some of Lumina's functionality first. As you can see, when we down an enemy combatant, they drop 2 remnants since we do have that catalyst unlocked. These remnants will linger for approximately 8 seconds, and will track towards you pretty aggressively when you enter their proximity. You can carry 5 noble rounds at one time, and when they are absorbed, they will reload 4 rounds back into your magazine. These noble rounds will remain if you swap weapons and then swap back. When aiming down sights, Lumina will always fire standard bullets. If you do have noble rounds in the magazine, hip firing will always result in spending one. When you shoot an ally with one of these noble rounds, it will give them a chunk of their health bar back, and grant you both the Blessing of the Sky damage buff. This has an 11-second timer. For the damage output, Lumina is tagging Carl for 2,793 points of damage on a crit, and 1,862 points of damage to the body. These numbers are exactly the same as a standard legendary 140 RPM hand cannon. With the Blessing of the Sky damage buff, we're now hitting for 3,771 points of damage on a crit, and 2,514 points of damage to the body. This is a 20% damage increase, so if all 12 rounds of the magazine land as crits, we're outputting a total of 45,252 points of damage on a single target. For a basis of comparison, I'll bring in one of our 140 RPM heavy hitters, Thorn. Thorn in this case is putting out 59,733 points of total damage with a 9-round magazine when the Soul Devourer buff is procced. And while Lumina might not be delivering the massive damage that Thorn can output, I don't think it was ever really intended to. This was designed to be a support weapon, and remains the one true support gun in the game. No other weapon in Destiny 2 provides you the ability to both heal and buff your allies. So if you're someone who's always liked playing that support role in other video games, Bungie built Lumina for you. And in PvE, with adds aplenty to kill, you're probably always going to have some noble rounds in your gun. This allows you to keep up with a steady stream of heals and buffs for your teammates. And since these remnants are reloading your magazine, it's keeping a steady stream of damage output going for you. And the nice thing about Blessing of the Sky is, it's not just contained within Lumina. That 20% damage increase is applied to any weapon that you or your teammate has equipped. And I gotta say, all in all, I think it provides a pretty fun gameplay loop. Maybe more so when you're running in a fire team of friends, but it is enjoyable regardless. I just have a good time with the shoot the baddie, grab the remnant, buff your friend process in PvE. And also, since Lumina does have a catalyst, we will be generating orbs of light on multi-kills, which is always a plus. Is it endgame viable though? I mean, you could probably make it work. I've taken it into some higher level nightfalls, and as long as you're getting final blows on trash ads and keeping those noble rounds in your gun, Lumina seems to do okay for itself. Is it going to be the best use of your exotic slot? Probably not. But I think it could be an option if you're committed to making it work. And I do have some drawbacks that I want to touch on with Lumina, but they're kinda gonna overlap with PvP. So rather than touch on them twice, let's move into the Crucible. Alright, we'll be kicking things off in PvP with our damage numbers. Lumina, being a 140 RPM hand cannon, is hitting for 70 points of damage on a crit and 47 points of damage to the body. This puts the optimal time to kill at 0.87 seconds by landing 3 crits, and the body shot time to kill comes in at 1.73 seconds, with 5 shots landed. When under the Blessing of the Sky damage buff, we're now hitting for 84 points of damage on a crit and 56 points of damage to the body. Here again, this is a 20% damage increase. Unfortunately, this doesn't move the needle on our optimal time to kill, but it does provide a more friendly bullet combination of 1 crit and 2 bodies. But it will bring that body shot time to kill down to 1.2 seconds, dealing lethal damage with 1 less bullet. For the optimal range, we're hitting for full damage from 29 meters in. Stepping back to 30 meters, we see the damage fall off. But we are still able to secure a 3 crit kill from 31 meters away. Performance-wise, even with the changes we saw in Beyond Light, Lumina in itself still feels like a very solid hand cannon. It would be kinda nice if that range stat at 53 was a touch higher, but when paired with that high aim assist stat of 88, shots do seem to land very consistently. Lumina also has a pretty fast reload speed, and strong marks and handling, so if you tend to be a player who likes to run your hand cannons more aggressively, Lumina could be a good option. Then the optimal time to kill of 0.87 seconds, while it does require a fair amount of precision, is pretty competitive in the current sandbox. And here again, if you just like the idea of being a team support player, Lumina is your gun. And taking a look at the weapon's recoil real quick, we get a nice tight vertical grouping when using this weapon at its max fire rate. But there are definitely some issues with Lumina currently. The main one, I think, is the value of these noble rounds. The healing properties of them, I've always considered to be a little bit situational. You know, you're moving with a teammate, they start taking fire, you have some noble rounds in your pocket, but you need to make a decision. Do you heal your teammate or immediately focus on the enemy and team shot him down? And with the average time to kill in Destiny coming in at well under a second, this needs to be a reflex decision. There's absolutely no time for hesitation here, and since we are playing a first-person shooter, I think most people are probably going to default to shoot the enemy. And then, the necessity of the damage buff has diminished. First off, it's kill activated. You need to down an enemy player, move into the proximity to absorb their remnants, and then pop a friendly to gain the damage buff. This is not really an issue in 6v6 game modes, but in comp or trials, this can be a risky maneuver. And currently, there are far easier ways of picking up a damage buff. The Whisper of Hedron's fragment actually gives you a 25% damage increase for 10 seconds, just for freezing a target with stasis. The Charged with Light system provides a variety of ways for you to become charged up, and when paired with high energy fire, you have a 20% damage buff that has no expiration timer. Or I could just drop an Empowering Rift, and while it's not a mobile damage buff, it is another one at my disposal. And in case you were wondering, do these damage buffs stack with the Blessing of the Sky damage buff? No, they do not. I guess the point I'm trying to make is back in Season of Opulence, when Lumina was released, that mobile 20% damage increase was very useful because it was rare. Nowadays, it's pretty commonplace, and that's really cutting into what makes this exotic feel exotic. On top of that, Lumina is feeling outpaced within the hand cannon weapon class. 120 RPM hand cannons currently are very strong, and they do have a high 2-tap potential from long range, taking only 0.5 seconds. Ace of Spades, with Memento Mori rounds and a damage buff, will 2-tap in 0.43 seconds. Hawkmoon does have overall better stats, and while it does take some work, there is 2-tap or insta-kill potential built in. And even Crimson has the same optimal time to kill, a better body shot time to kill, plus the ability to reload your weapon and heal you when you down an enemy player. And sadly, these are things that Lumina just can't accomplish, so when stacking it up against other hand cannons, it's a little underwhelming. And lastly, that physical range is pretty poor. All the aforementioned hand cannons are seeing damage fall off from 30 plus meters away, well past 30 meters if you're looking at the 120s. 29 meters wouldn't have felt too bad in the pre-Beyond Light sandbox, but right now, it just doesn't seem like it's cutting it. So for the verdict, and while I really like Lumina, and I still find it to be a nice change of pace regarding how Destiny is played, I feel like its overall usefulness is in question currently. In PvE, I really like the idea of running a support weapon. On this side of the game, I feel like it can still have a place. It might not be the best option, but it can definitely work if you want it to. In PvP, this gun just feels outpaced by all the changes that came with Beyond Light. Other weapons, all in all, are just performing better. Maybe if Blessing of the Sky could stack on top of other buffs, Lumina could get some footing. But as it sits currently, I really don't see much of a benefit in equipping Lumina over a legendary 140 RPM hand cannon. So I'm gonna throw this one on the list of weapons that need some help. And I hope sometime soon Bungie takes another pass at some of these less utilized exotics. Because Lumina is a really nice hand cannon. It just needs some love. But as always, if Lumina is your favorite gun in the game and you perform well with it, don't let my opinion dissuade you. The best gun in the game is always gonna be the gun that works best for you. But if you did enjoy this weapon review, please remember to leave it a like and at least consider subscribing to the Ironworker Gaming channel if you're digging the content and you'd like to see more. If you'd like to catch me live, I've decided to keep it on platform from now on. The channel started on YouTube, the community grew on YouTube. I'll be streaming right here on YouTube. And if you'd want to contact me, you can look for Ironworker814 on Twitter, join our community Discord, link will be in the description, or just leave me a comment. I'll be sure to get back to you. And with all that being said, I'd like to thank you for taking the time out of your day to check out this weapon review. You guys are awesome, and I will catch you on the next one.